So welcome back. Today is a bit of a shorter video than my last one. If you want to catch up and see where this where this image came from, the series, the previous tutorial, which is called, I think, Beach Breakers, and it's a tutorial on how I worked on the beach, creating some ICM images. This was one I alluded to during the presentation. It's a multiple exposure image of 2 images, and I just thought it might be fun to take you through quite quickly this evening and show you where it came from. So let's just have a look. These are the original 2 files that I played with. These have both been cleaned up. These are all edited, and you can see they're slightly different crops. The one on the left's a 6x4 and the one on the right's a 16x9. That doesn't worry me at all when I'm doing post-processing in multiple exposures. It doesn't worry me at all, so I'm quite happy to bring those 2 together. What I did want to do was work in black and white, so I turned both of these black and white using one of the very basic presets on the left hand side, and these are the resulting black and white images. So I've made sure they kind of match each other in a feel, and these 2 black and whites are part of a series that I've got on my website now. So we're going to take these 2 images through into like Photoshop. So we're going to go all the way down and edit as layers in Photoshop. And let's go and see if they're coming through. Okay, try once more. Nope. Let's try again. Editing, open as layers in Photoshop. Sometimes my computer makes it work and sometimes it doesn't. So let's just see whether these both come through on top of each other. Here we go. Right. So what we're going to do is we are going to, I'm not too worried that they're not aligned at the moment because we're going to be playing with them anyway. I'm just going to put the black and the poles underneath. You can see them there with the breaker. So the first thing I generally do is click on the top one. I'm just going to run through and see if anything does something immediately. And I quite like that one as a start. It kind of gives a really nice feel. That one gives a darker feel, but I feel now the poles are rather dominant, whereas this one, you kind of see through the poles, which you do in real life. This kind of looks like charcoal or an old photo, which is quite fun. This one's just too dark for me. It's just kind of lost all edge. I quite like that one, but it's a little bit softer. The darker colour is just a little bit softer. The lighter ones don't work for me because they're just not allowing both parts to come through. The overlay, which quite often works for me, I don't feel it's allowing enough of the waves to come through. Same with soft light. Hard light, that's kind of fun. It almost looks like an ink painting, but it's not what I'm after. So these are just running through these. You can end up with some very wacky things. Anyway, I'm going to go back up and I am going to pick darken for this one here. So now I don't like that the wave is sitting right on top of this because I want to see that the wave is breaking kind of just behind. So what I'm just going to do is have a little play moving it around. Now I might decide yet to change the opacity, but let's have a look. I don't like it below. I quite like it behind. I actually quite like it there because then you get this breaker coming across the back, and this could actually have been there. You know, you might look at it later and think, oh, I didn't realise it was a ICM, the multiple exposure. But what I'm going to do is just bring it down very slightly because I don't want it to be above. So because there it looks a bit like odd that it's so much higher. So I want it almost to break behind the breakers here. So I'm good with that. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to have a little crop and see what happens here. Let's try the 16x9 crop because one of them was already 16x9. Just want to make sure I don't lose too much length, or I don't lose too much here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to take this out here. Oop. Let's take it back to the okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just layer and I'm going to flatten these images and I'm going to take it through into Lightroom. So I'm going to File and Save. And when you do that direct from Lightroom, if you bring the images into Photoshop, what you can do is just press File and Save, and it will go back into Lightroom and be sat there in amongst your other images. What I like in Lightroom is I like this way of cropping. This is what I'm going to do. So I've chosen the crop tool, and I'm going to go with the 16:9, I think, to start with. Now, if you double click on the L button, you can make it all go dark all around, and then you can just really see. It's brilliant for figuring out crops and things, I find, because you have absolutely no distractions. So for example, this tiny little black on the edge, I want to get rid of that. And I quite like that, actually. But I am just going to go in a free crop and just see, for example, whether it looks better with more water coming out the side. Or maybe I can try 16:10, just give it a little bit more height. Obviously we need to have that original bit there, and then we've lost the end. Let's just see. No, 16:10 doesn't work here. So I'm just going to try the 6:4 and just see what that looks like as well. But again, I think it's too short for what I want to be doing here. No, okay. I had a look. It's worth having a look anyway. So 16:9 is the choice. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got no bits overlapping. And there we are. That is the finished image. So sorry if it's been a little bit bitty. I've just been finding my way through, but it's kind of how I work. I just work bit by bit. In fact, looking at this, I may just crop in onto that first pole, because I don't like this little area of white. It looks a bit odd, whereas if I crop into that first pole, it gives a little bit of solidness on the end there. Yeah, I'm just going to crop into there. So, and I quite like this little line over here, so I'm going to make sure that remains. And then that's quite nice because this now sits on a sort of a thirds, and it fits, sort of got information throughout the whole image now. So that was just a run through. Hope you enjoyed that. Quite a quick whiz. So if you have any questions, do drop them below in the comments box. Do give me a like if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe and sign up if you haven't already. Thanks a lot. See you on the next video.